Hey, Jim.
Hey, how are you? We're going to try this one more time. Oh my God.
I gotta say, it was
You
quite a Wednesday last week.
You have no idea how much anxiety I have. It's not even funny. I'm like, I have tried everything possible to make this not get Zoom bombed.
Yeah, I think we're okay.
Uh, well, Stephen at our office just before I sent out the thing yesterday, he said, "Why don't you make the password a piece of art and just attach it in the email?" I said, "Oh my God, that's perfect because nobody can, if they're filtering or scanning the internet looking for passwords to join meetings, they can't."
I didn't have to use the password.
Oh, all right. Uh-oh. Oh no.
No, I don't know if that might not be a good thing. Sorry.
Oh no. All right. Well, I have oh God, I don't know where I have so many notes near me about how to shut this down quick. I could, like, last time I couldn't find the button fast enough. I'm like, what do I do? I was completely confused with the whole thing. So but I don't even let's see. If anybody's joining, you can unmute yourself as well. And I'm trying to think if I have any other things I have to like. Hi, Brenda.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm excited for this. You never know what's going to pop up.
I'm telling you, I'm not excited. I'm just like so nervous about this.
It can happen to any of us.
Well, I would say I got so many phenomenal emails from people last week with so many tips and articles and everything. And I think 99% it was the first time we experienced what this Zoom bombing is all about. So yeah. If they didn't realize what what was happening at that moment, and I didn't, within an hour or so, people started looking up the internet and finding out what it was. So I'll tell you, I was not that. I was just telling Jill, I have super Zoom anxiety from that moment. It was just awful.
Yeah, it could, like I said, it could happen to anybody. A couple teachers have been experiencing it too.
Yeah.
So that's really, I mean, we can handle it, I think.
Yeah.
But with the kids, talk about derailing a class.
You know, well, this morning on Good Morning America, there was a story about Zoom bombing and stuff, and they didn't show anything, but I think our experience was probably, it couldn't get any worse than that. It was just, but I feel like I don't. Hey, Catherine, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm not sure how I must have clicked enough on security or safety factors that I don't see anybody anymore. I see you, Catherine, but I don't see anybody else.
Can you see? Huh.
I see you now, Brenda, but I guess when you start talking.
Oh, yeah, we jump out to the front. So if you hit at the top left, there's like a gallery view. It's like all these little boxes, and you'll see everybody.
Oh, here we go. All right.
We look like the Brady Bunch when you do that.
Okay. Yeah. Do you see the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Is that good to do, to show who's on?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. So we'll wait a few minutes. I hope it doesn't happen and Cosmo said he might be able to jump on and jump in. I have so many pieces of paper around me with security, like I have like all kinds of how-to everything just as a result of last week. I am so, if this pulls off today, well, I am going to sleep like a baby because I have asked Catherine, I think 1,000 times what to do. Because if you could pull off,
Jim, if it's any consolation, it helped because I used this as an example in one of my leadership meetings, and we educated the entire staff. So thank you.
oh, well, as far as an education, that there was more to just the anything. That was a major education last week. Well, it's funny because
It was.
I don't know if anybody is familiar with Brendan Schneider. I don't know if he's on right now, but he used that as an example as well. He wasn't on last week's meeting, but I told him all about it. And he goes, I have never used your name. I'm like, I don't care what you do. I was just, he laughs at it. I wasn't laughing at the time. I really couldn't find a button fast enough. I really didn't know what was going on. So if anybody's joining us for the first time, last week was definitely an education, I guess. It was awful. So we'll wait like 5 minutes if that's okay. Oh. Everybody look, I don't know names or anything. Last week I think we did see that name that came up. I was able to like stop it, but that was like towards the end of the meeting, and hopefully this is okay.
Excuse me.
And what I did to just talk about it, and I was telling Jill that one way we kind of solved it was putting the password as a piece of artwork in the email. So if anybody is experiencing Zoom bombing, that's a perfect way. I didn't even think of that until Stephen at our office mentioned it. And if they just can't filter the password. So it was an actual piece of artwork that was embedded in the e-blast. So that was, I thought that was a good solution. So hopefully that will help and work. So we'll wait a couple seconds, but that's okay. And I also muted everybody as they came on, so you can unmute yourself as well. Trust me, I think I did every single thing possible.
Thank you for doing this, Jim.
Oh, you're welcome. I think we might as well get started and talking. I just think meetings like this are so important for the school community, especially the independent schools. And quite frankly, public schools should be joining this as well, because I think a lot of independent schools are really knocking it out of the ballpark with, e-schooling. And I think Catherine and I were talking about it throughout the week that I wish there was another word we can kind of come up with, this whole e-schooling, e-learning, because some schools it goes beyond that, and especially after the 2 o'clock bell, if you will, it goes on until dinner time, and even after, and on the weekends. So I don't know if anybody ever has a correct word for e-community, e-schooling, e-learning. That I think it's there should be a new word for that. But if anybody, I also think that this is a great time for, like I said, everybody to get together, share success stories, and just ask a lot of questions. I asked Brenda and Catherine to join us from Bishop Guertin High School because they're up in Nashua. I don't think they're going to brag. I will probably have to poke them a little bit to brag, because I think they're just, to them, I think this is coming natural for them. Because of the fact that they don't have, snow days, they go immediately to e-learning. And we wanted to kind of repeat last week, other than Cosmo from O'Neill and Associates. They're a crisis communications firm, but he may be joining us at throughout this meeting, but he didn't know if he could make it, so he didn't want me to advertise or promote that he would be part of it. But he really is. O'Neill Associates are really, really a great resource to have for any crisis communication. I've referred so many schools to them, and I've gotten emails back from those schools saying they were the nicest group anybody could ever work with. So if there's any type of crisis going on at schools, they're definitely one to have in your Rolodex. So he may join us, he may not, but I kind of wanted to repeat, really, I thought it was just unfair with what happened last week for Bishop Guertin not to kind of share so many of their success stories or even what they're doing. To them, it's normal. I get it. And I think at one point, Brenda or Catherine, you mentioned that if you didn't have e-learning and any of that in place when it came to snow days, you would be going in the middle of the summertime because of so many snow days. So for them, it's super normal. So I think I'm going to hand it over to you guys. We don't have to talk for a full hour. We'll totally respect everybody's time. But I think a lot of people can share what they're doing with everybody, especially when this could be the first week that a lot of independent schools are just getting started with e-schooling or e-learning. And so they're really looking for those success stories or what else can we do? So I think, I don't think there's any, nobody's being rude by jumping in. I think that that's very common thing to just jump in and ask questions. But let me just explain a little bit about how we did this or why we did this. My name's Jim Healy. I own a company called Peapod Design, and we work with schools on everything from market research to print materials to websites, photography, and now we're getting into the virtual touring. And so we have a conference called the Brand Together Conference every year, and we just thought, well, maybe we could turn this into a Brand Together get together, and kind of bounce that off of that whole phrase. So that's kind of where that came from. And also we're very, very passionate about school's brand. So a school's brand. So everything from how it should be portrayed through print, website, storytelling, this e-learning. I think it's a great opportunity to really showcase what you guys are all about. And I know 2 weeks ago, I was on a Zoom meeting with a bunch of schools, and so many people were so worried about where everything was going. And looking back now to 2 weeks ago, I'm telling you, independent schools are knocking it out of the ballpark. So I think that, staying focused and really showcasing what your brand's all about and showcasing this e-learning and the success that you guys are doing is going to really, really, bring attention to so many families that have no idea what independent schools are, private schools, things like that. So I think now's the time that you can take advantage of some marketing and how strong your brand can be. So that's kind of what we're all about. And this is a very open forum. You can ask any types of questions about anything. And I think there's so many people on right now. There's 43 and growing. I think someone has an answer for someone out there. So if anybody has questions, but I'm going to pass it over to Brenda and Catherine and let them kind of brag about what you guys are doing at Bishop Guertin. And because I think you guys really, really are, a case study for success of a school. And they're being, newspapers are talking to them. I'll let them talk about it and explain. I'll probably poke you a little bit to brag a little bit, but I'll pass it over to them.
Sure. I'll hand it over to Brenda. She can start.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brenda Posnansky. I'm the Director of School Counseling and Admission at Bishop Guertin. We're an independent private Catholic high school in southern New Hampshire. So we draw from about 40 different communities, given where we are located geographically. So lots of Massachusetts and a lot of New Hampshire we pull from. So one of the things that Catherine and I were chatting a little bit this morning about sort of the progression of how we got to where we are right now, which it's been a long sort of time coming in a way. Like Jim mentioned, we do snow days online, and we have been doing that for about 8 years. We went from Moodle to our own personal platform we did Moodle for about 2 or 3 years, and then recently, over the last 6 years or so, have been on our own platform. So the students have been very comfortable with e-learning, and the teachers have as well, except it wasn't live necessarily. They had interactions and so forth, but it wasn't necessarily live. It was a little more, it was a flatter involvement, if you will. But it was a full day of school. So all our snowboarders were very sad during snow days, where they used to be able to go out and go snowboarding or skiing or whatever. They were in their jammies doing schoolwork most of the day. But it was a pretty robust program. And so they were a little bit used to that. One of the things that I have to mention, though, is that our leadership at the school, our admin team, in particular our principal, when we returned from Christmas vacation, put together a coronavirus or COVID-19 plan, pandemic plan. So we've been working on this since we got back from Christmas break. Our principal is a researcher, and he put together ideas of what could happen. He had a lot of data. So that we knew we were going to roll this out pretty much in the month of March. On the March 12th, we made an announcement to our school community that the next day of school would be a professional development day. Students were to clear out their lockers at the end of the school day, and they would have Friday to come in and finish up whatever they needed to finish up within the building, but that the building was going to be closed as of Monday to all students. So that Professional Development Day, we spent the entire day helping teachers with Google Meet, Zoom, anything they needed to ensure that they had all the technology they needed, as well as the training that they needed to put their classes up online and become live. So it was a very busy day, obviously. It was we were there from 7 to about 4 or 5 on that Friday, March 13th, to make sure that we could, in 72 hours, literally change our entire delivery of education. And Monday morning approached, we had a plan in place where students would meet for advisory at 7:45. Attendance would be taken. We'd have prayer, pledge, and celebrate birthdays. And then the first class would begin. We decided to do 4 classes a day, 10 minutes in between each class, 30 minutes between the 3rd and 4th class, and then study hours and office hours of teachers between 1 and 3. And so we have been doing that for the last 2 weeks. Today is a recoup day. After a lot of hard work on the students' parts and the teachers' parts, we gave today as a recoup day. So they're kind of catching up on outstanding work. Teachers are preparing for the rest of the lessons this week. And so we felt that given the responses we were hearing from the students and the parents, that everybody sort of needed a chance to catch up. So today is designed for that. So that's where we're at. So far, we have received really positive feedback. The parents are so thankful for the normalcy, that we're keeping a normal pace. The normalcy is really super important. The kids are busy. They're not just sitting on video games, but they are actually really busy. So, I mean, it's been tough. I mean, I oversee admissions and school counseling, so those are a little different than the teachers. At least they have a curriculum to deliver. So it's been a little bit of a challenge from that perspective, but the counselors are reaching out to kids every day, doing Zoom meetings with some of their seniors if they're worried about college. They're also doing Google Meet for students who need daily check-ins, you know, just because of anxiety or, you know, for whatever reason. We just went through course selection, so that was fun. But we got through it, and again, did it all online with the help of our registrar, who was able to put things all in front of the students on their computers, which was so helpful. So we've been chugging along. We are really proud of our school, and we are really proud of our students. They've really stepped up, and we're really, really proud of them. This Friday, we're having a parent coffee. The counseling department has a parent coffee 4 times a year with different themes. This one was scheduled and around college admissions, students trying to make decisions, looking at financial aid awards, all of those kinds of things. So we're still having it. We're doing it in a Zoom meeting on Friday morning, but it's bring your own coffee. This Thursday night, tomorrow night, we're having our course selection for incoming students. Again, a Zoom meet. We've filmed our whole presentation in PowerPoint with all the people involved in it, the principal, the president, our vice principal, myself, and some department chairs. So we're really fingers crossed that goes off. We've never done this before, so we're pretty excited about seeing how that goes. But we've been getting really positive feedback, and we're really thankful for that. A lot of hard work on a lot of people's part. Catherine?
Yeah, thank you, Brenda. My name is Catherine Gann. I'm the Director of Communications at BG. So Bishop Guertin is run and owned by the Brothers of the Sacred Heart. So as Brenda mentioned, we're an independent school, and we have a lot of, our focus in general around the students is that it's what we call whole person formation. It's not just about the academic, it's the spiritual, intellectual, athletic, everything about the student. So we've really tried to not just think about how to provide our students with a sense of normalcy around academics, but around student life in general. Our students are very, very active, you know, with after school activities, clubs, athletics, things like that. And that's a huge part of what is ultimately being missed by having to be online. So we really took that as a challenge, and we were excited that we had a lot of interest from our teachers and faculty and staff to maintain that level of interaction. So we've created in the afternoons, what we have is the Nest is sort of our like student like spirit section. That's kind of, you know, what we call ourselves. We're the Bishop Guertin Cardinals. And so we created a virtual nest, and the virtual nest provides opportunities for the students to still engage with each other outside of class time. So some of the things we've done so far are afternoon sessions with learning how to do axe throwing with our band director. We've had trivia nights on Friday night. We have cooking in the afternoons, or how to make a medical mask for yourself or to donate. And the students are they're joining in. Sometimes I'll sneak into one, I think trivia night at 5 o'clock on a Friday night, there were 40 kids playing trivia together on Zoom, which I think was just really awesome. We have a beloved member of our maintenance staff named Oscar, who the kids absolutely adore. He knows every student's name and sings them happy birthday during lunch. And so 2 Fridays ago, we had lunch with Oscar over Zoom. So for half an hour, you could log in to Zoom, say hi to Oscar, check in, say hi. You could see parents jumping in as well. And I think it's really created this sort of calming sense. I'm the moderator of our quiz team, our quiz bowl team. And so yesterday during the lunch break, we all had lunch together and just sort of hung out and checked in and what's everybody doing, college decisions, and it was great. We're also trying to create, we're missing out also on like evening events, as Brenda mentioned, course selection night, different things that normally happen. So our winter sports awards was one that was coming up. So we moved it completely online. Jim has the video, and we made it fun. We have just under 800 students enrolled in the school, and at one point during the winter sports awards, we had 300 students watching the winter sports awards online. And he made it, our athletic director made it fun. He wore our were the Cardinals. He wore the whole Cardinal mascot costume. He changed hats for every single sport. He threw it to all of the coaches to give their awards as if they had been in person. So we really have thought of creative and fun ways to engage the kids. We, going back to sort of how we launched all of this process, we created a landing page with all the information regarding the academic side schedules. Every communication we've sent out we have a database of it. And then we've also created additional tabs. So we have the virtual nest, which is where any student activities sort of falls. There's a schedule for the week. There's daily workouts. There's takeout restaurant recommendations that the students are really doing because it's student driven. Playlists, movie recommendations, tons of things like that. And we also, because our students are heavily involved in service, created another additional page for students to find service opportunities, ways to give back, and things like that. So we really are trying to take a holistic approach because that's how we've always done things at BG, and looking at it that way. Because one of the main things that we feel is our responsibility is when we talk about educating the students that are in our care, is that we do that in partnership with the family. And that's the least we can do. We feel like this is the least we can do to continue that partnership, to give parents, the ability to breathe and not have to, necessarily worry as much because the students are in class, they have things after school. Another thing we've done is instituted a student task force. So once or twice a week, the students voluntarily will meet with the principal to provide feedback on how they think things are going. Do they like the classes? What do they want to see? Where can we improve? And we're using that data in real time to update things as we go. And, again, 50 students after school, talking, doing polls, figuring it out, working in breakout groups to come up with ideas to keep students engaged. And it's really gone well. So we're very lucky that everybody has taken this and really run with it in an incredible way.
The other thing is we're not forgetting about the adults in the situation either. We have had a faculty staff happy hour, a Zoom happy hour, which was really fun. But we also do a COVID-19 newsletter. It comes out about every other day from the principal, where we also share helpful links, especially from the counseling department, but helpful links for parents and for the teachers to make sure that they're okay. Any ideas that they have that we can help with. But the COVID-19 newsletter is just really very brief. It's an ongoing newsletter, so you can go back 3 days if you missed it or whatever, just to keep people informed of what's happening. Obviously, right now, if you're working with any high school kids, they're really worried, especially the juniors and seniors, about end of the year activities. So things like the prom, graduation, any senior events that typically celebrate the end of high school, I think will be hanging in the balance for a while, but they're anxious about that. That's understandable. So we want to make sure we keep them informed when we know something is happening, that we can give them that update. So that's been really helpful too, and has met with great response from the adults in our school community.
I think one thing that you mentioned, Catherine, about Oscar, the person that she mentioned, Oscar, you have like 700-800 kids at your school. This person knows, I don't know how he does it because I have a hard time with names, but he knows every single student at the school. It's the most bizarre. It's the greatest gift that anybody could have, is to remember a name, and he can remember everybody's name. So a big thing to walk away from that is bringing back normalcy to everything of your normal day to day at a school. So if there's something that's happening at your school that is that's normal and you don't want it to be left out or forgotten about, even though that's a small minor thing that Catherine mentioned, it's probably, I think if you ask any student there, or maybe even an alum, that's probably in one of the top 5 things that Oscar would wish everybody a happy birthday. And I think he bought candy bars.
To jump in, it's funny you say that. So the first week, the students were online. Some of us were still in the building, and Oscar was walking around, and I just said, oh my goodness. I was like, please sing happy birthday. I'm going to record you singing happy birthday. And I said, just when you get to the name, just say everyone. He's like, okay. And so he sings it. I put that up on Facebook. You would not believe that was probably one of our most shared viewed posts we'd ever done here in the cafeteria on your birthday. So it was just something that the kids literally were just so excited to see him, and the parents as well. And interesting anecdotes that we got from that was, oh, my son shadowed, he's in 8th grade, he came home and said, oh, and then he went to BG and he remembered my name from when he shadowed, and like that was so special to them. And it's really been super effective. And I know Brenda also mentioned our advisory. So advisory is what we sort of dub our homeroom, and we're keeping that every morning. So I share an advisory with a student, with another teacher. And so we have 19 kids that every morning we're seeing them every morning. So we're checking in, we do prayer, we do Pledge of Allegiance, and then we, check it, how's everybody doing? But an essential part of that also is, and Brenda did touch on this, was the attendance factor. So we do, like, if they're late for advisory, they're tardy. And if they're gonna miss an online class, they have to call the attendance officer. So we've really tried to create, continue those norms. And when we get the attendance report in the afternoon, you'll look through and, there's a few tardies here and there, maybe their computer didn't work. If you look at absences, I mean, it's on average, it's like 2 a day. So 2 out of almost 800 students are absent for a specific reason. Everybody else is there and present, which I think is just absolutely incredible.
And one other thing that you guys mentioned last week was how, for the first time, a lot of these parents are kind of peeking over the shoulder of their students, and they're seeing really for the first time why these students are bragging about their teachers so much. And the comments that you got from so many parents saying, now I see why my child loves Mr. Smith or something. I can see it firsthand in a classroom. So that's actually really important to keep in mind, how many parents may be looking over the student's shoulder. It may not be right behind them, but it might be right in front of the right behind the camera on the computer. So it's always important.
We've heard that a lot.
Those teachers are, well dressed and look respectful and all that.
The other thing that we, the kind of the byproduct from an admissions perspective, we're putting together a new website with Jim, and we've been, since, I don't know, October, asking for testimonials and things like that to put up on the website. We have so many now, we could put up a new one every day from people responding to a lot of what Catherine has been posting on social media, but also just out of the blue this morning, I had sent out, I oversee, as I said, admissions, so I had sent out some correspondence to our parent ambassadors. And I got a response this morning out of the blue, just thanking us at BG, and she can't wait to be able to share it with parents that she knows, and is telling everybody, sort of what her son is involved with in school, as opposed to what she is finding his friends at other schools are involved with. So by virtue of word of mouth, we all know that that's how the best admissions practice is, word of mouth. It's so important to use what the parents are saying. That is our best advertisement. It's sort of easy to use their words, so we don't have to be making things up. It's not marketing, it's not over marketing. It's a very easy way of sharing the information with new parents, or asking them to share it with their friends on Facebook or their social media outlets.
The other thing is, I know like some schools are just starting this week for their e-learning. I think it's super important. I know you guys kept to a block schedule. I just knowing some of the public schools around here and knowing some private schools that aren't sticking to some exact schedule format is causing parents to go literally bonkers. So, and some of these kids are done by 9 or 10. There's no like order to the day. So if anybody that's out there is trying to figure out what schedule, if you're talking to the powers to be on what schedule to stick to, because talking to some of these schools in the past couple of weeks, they started one way, but then the next week they kind of regrouped and started it all over again with the block schedule or more structure. Honest to God, that's the best way to do it, is just to keep this full schedule of a class, and just like you guys have 10 minutes in between class. That's serious. That's like your parents are paying a lot of money for things, and that's really, really important.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Jim. Consistency is so important. And we've really talked about that a lot. When we were rolling out this plan, the one thing we wanted was not just for the kids and the parents, but for the teachers as well, was a real consistent schedule, knowing upfront what was going to happen. And so the kids have been responding to that, and the teachers do appreciate it. And I think you're absolutely right. We want to show the parents that, you know, your tuition dollars are going, you know, forward, and we're not doing pass fail. A lot of high schools in this area are moving toward pass fail. I'm on a blog with the directors of counseling in the state, and we are not. We are going to use grading as we would if school was in session in person.
And there's a lot, if anybody has any questions, I know people are writing things. I don't know if people can see the chatting that's going on, but they are asking if you can share the newsletter, what it looks, so I can send that out, or if you want to, you know.
Yes, I put the link. So we kind of made it a landing page where everything that we sent out is sort of housed in this sort of scrollable format. So that's where everybody gets their information. And then there's subsequent links to the service and outreach opportunities, our virtual nest, which is the students. And then we also have created, it's hidden right now, but we also created like a student FAQs. And so the students are able to like submit questions. If they have anything specific they want addressed, they can do that, and we can get back to them as well.
Another question was, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I saw there was a question about virtual tours and info sessions. We're putting together an info session for our 7th grade inquiries and any outstanding inquiries we have out there that haven't applied yet, especially like transfer students or 8th graders. We're planning to do that probably in early May, just because people are just getting settled into the e-learning. Even though we've been doing it, but other schools are just getting really settled in. The other thing that we are hopefully going to be doing a virtual tour. Catherine and Jim will be talking about that after this.
Well, like I get the questions a lot in the past couple of weeks about the virtual tour, and colleges use a lot of it. So I'll answer the largest question that a lot of independent schools are saying, is that we have a product that, you know, it's about people. It's about face-to-face. It's about handshakes and all that stuff. Virtual tours are not going to replace that. But I think what they do is really add to the narrative for admissions, to talk to families and say, if you've seen our virtual tour, or, you know, as you can see in our virtual tour. So if those are conversations that you can help, if the virtual tour can help with the narrative, that's where I think virtual tours come into play really well, is that you can say, as you can see in our gymnasium, we have 3 or 4 full-length basketball courts, or things like that. So that's like a number one question I'm getting, is how are virtual tours important and stuff. And I think you'll hear 2 sides of it. You'll say, well, they're not that important because I want to get to see people either in a Zoom meeting or face to face. But of course, at this moment and even going forward, you know, who knows what's going to be like over the summertime. So I think being proactive on creating these virtual tours is important. And like I said, it really does add to the narrative. It doesn't replace the narrative, but if you have a nice campus, or even something that a lot of these, you know, families that aren't familiar with private schools, I mean, I know that sounds odd because we're all in it, but, you know, after working with schools for 25 years, one question we always get as families when we're talking to families is, I didn't even know that independent schools existed. So I was just like, wow, I was a little shocked by that, but you'll hear that pop up every now and then. And to be able to show these families that you guys are just like every other school, if not better. And some of you guys have college campus quality campuses, and to show these families that, listen, you're not going to give up anything, you're going to gain so much, that that's where I think a lot of virtual tours will come into handy, where they can kind of and also the value of a virtual tour is not necessarily the 360, but it's, and I was talking to Catherine earlier, and a lot of people are confused with what these hotspots are that I talk about. It's when your virtual tour comes to life when you can pop on these hotspots on each 360 location. So the hotspots can either be photos that can support that location, or videos that can support that location. The easiest one to use is a science room, for example. A science room may have labs and stuff, and you may have videos of the teacher and the students doing a specific science project, whether it's an outdoor rocket going out into space or indoors, like kind of blowing something up or something. And so along with photos, it does add to your whole experience. So that's kind of what that's all about. And then also another question is, anybody doing anything about prom or graduation right now? Anybody thinking about that? That's a question that's somebody put out. Renee. I know it's a little ways away, but you know. Actually, that's a couple questions. The prom is coming up and the end of the year ceremony. So if anybody has thoughts on that, I know it will happen in the next couple of weeks. Those topics will be really needed to be answered. But I'll tell you, I think it's something that everybody should start thinking about, because parents are going to be asking these questions. So you want to know that, you know, there's the school that my wife Karen and I graduated from, Rhode Island School of Design, to throw a plug out there. But they're doing such a phenomenal job keeping us up to date on what they're doing. I'm not going to mention a couple other colleges that we're familiar with right now, but they're not keeping us posted at all. It's really not fun. But RISD's doing such a phenomenal, it's like almost every other day the checklist grows, and they're not ashamed by it either. They're like, you know what, you've seen the last 9 things that we're doing over the course, you know, you might have seen it yesterday, but we're adding to that. We're up to like 15 things that we're doing. So I think that's really important to kind of keep everybody up to date with up to speed with what's going on.
I think also, just to kind of jump in, I think there was a question also about alumni. We made a concerted effort to send an email, like correspondence from our president, to alumni, giving them an update and saying, you know, you wouldn't really expect anything different. You know, this is BG, this is what we're doing, and giving sort of, and links to the things. We're like, jump in to some of the afternoon activities. And lo and behold, when the band director was doing axe throwing, I jumped in, and there were 2 kids that graduated, what'll be 2 years ago. There they were, watching, having a great time, you know, just enjoying it. So giving sort of the alumni the update, I think is really helpful, because it's getting the message out there in a different way, especially as more of them, you know, might, you know, are talking to their friends in their towns and what they're doing. So That's really been successful. And then we're also utilizing, from an advancement standpoint, one of the things that we lost out on was our annual like gala fundraiser auction, which was supposed to be this Saturday. So we transitioned it completely online, and the money traditionally goes towards, you know, scholarship funds, obviously for financial assistance, but we're refocusing that on emergency financial assistance for families affected, because that's the next thing too, is as parents are, as their financial situations are changing with what's going on, is sort of how do we address that going forward. So, you know, we're trying to do a little bit of everything as best as possible.
I think it's important to have a plan B, C, and D right now, just because in the state of New Hampshire, they're saying the worst is yet to come in the next 2 weeks. So we're not sure what's going to happen. We were supposed to be closed until May 4th. That probably will be pushed out to the end of the school year. We're planning to keep all our activities that we typically have on the date in some way, shape, or form. Obviously not social gatherings, but some sort of recognition on that date of our activity. As far as even graduation, our graduation date is May 31st. We're still going to do something on May 31st. We're not sure what that looks like. And then invite all of the students back sometime probably in the fall for a weekend for just that class, the class of 2020. So we're thinking of all kinds of different things, but we do have a couple plans in place, and you know, sort of as it progresses, it depends. But it's important to kind of really have these conversations and talk about it, I think. But we just don't know.
Jim, you were mentioning that RISD is sending out communications. Is that from an email?
That's in an email form to all, I guess, students and parents and alums. But it's just, it looks the same every single time. It's, but they just keep adding to the list, which is kind of, I think the first one they sent that repeated what the previous like 5 things were was an apologetic type of in a form. But then I think we're all used to actually looking forward to that email of how that is growing in numbers. So I'm actually pretty proud of how the president is doing it that way. You know, whereas some colleges, I haven't heard anything from them. I haven't heard about how they're paying for tuition, how the, you know, reimbursement for, you know, what the students aren't going back, so there's a little bit of reimbursement and stuff. So I know some schools aren't familiar with what might be going on, or they, you know, it's an unknown, but RISD's not holding back that. If they don't know the answer, they're literally saying, we don't know that answer yet, but as you can see, we're answering those number 1 questions as they come up. So they're being really good about it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. And there's a couple questions. I don't know if people are seeing it. Anybody experiencing pushback from parents paying full tuition? And then also Brandy mentioned, I don't know if you want to repeat this, Brenda, about the online classes and times between classes. That was a question that she mentioned.
Yeah, so we have 10 minutes in between so the kids can stretch, walk around, use the restroom, that kind of thing. Normally we have 4 minutes between classes. So it's nice for them to have that opportunity to kind of move around. And then there's 30 minutes between the 3rd and the 4th class, just again, so kids can get something to eat, move around, clear their head a little bit. And then, like I mentioned earlier, from 1 to 3 are office hours and extra help sessions with teachers and with groups. If the students are doing a group project or whatever, that gives them time to do that and meet outside the class time.
Anybody have any success stories or ideas or thoughts?
Hi, Kim. I was going to jump in about the social media. We've been having some good luck with that. We initiated a campaign called SEM Connects. We're Wyoming Seminary, but we go by SEM. So it's SEM Connects, hashtag SEM Connects. And each week we have a new theme. So last week it was Pets Week. And I emailed all the parents and families, teachers, students, and asked them to send me pictures of them doing their virtual learning with their pet on their lap, or if they were outside with their pet doing whatever. And I got a lot of response from that. So then I put an album together and put it on Facebook, just showing kids being happy with their animals and teachers teaching. This week, our theme is What's for Lunch? And we're kind of using it as a shout out to all the cafeteria workers and our dining hall people that they don't get to see every day. And we're kind of combining that with, can you say what your favorite thing is to eat in the cafeteria every day, and what are you making for lunch? So just kind of keeping things fresh, something for them to look out for.
I have a question. I saw that you have a virtual nest. What sort of after-school activities are you doing? I did a book club yesterday, and the kids had so much fun with that, and they did bring their pets into it. But I was wondering, what other things are you doing to pull the kids together outside of just the academics?
Sure. So some of the examples we've done just this week, one of our science teachers did a sewing class, how to make like surgical masks. Yesterday was a cooking class with our chorus director. Tomorrow we have a number of teacher couples at school, and one of our married couples they have a baby, so it's an hour of like playtime with baby William. And Friday night is trivia night. We had axe throwing last week. We've had sports talk, so we have two male teachers who are really into sports and love to talk Red Sox, Patriots, all that stuff. So just for an hour, you can jump in and just talk about sports with them. So a little bit of kind of everything. We've really put it on the teachers and to say, listen, like what's something you can come up with, if you want to come up with something fun, let us know. I know Brenda works, our assistant director of admission, David Girusso, he also runs our student ambassador program. So now aren't there Brenda, afternoons with Mr. G, and you can kind of hang out and check in with him. So we're just kind of letting people be creative and come up with stuff. I know the gentleman that I share my advisory with is like, do you think if we did something and I shaved my head, the kids would tune in? And, and I'm joking, my hair, I have short hair anyway. I'm like, honestly, I could shave my head and then it'll grow out by the time we all see each other again anyway. So they're just trying to do fun, goofy, things that the kids just get a kick out of. I will say trivia night Friday night got pretty heated, actually. It was pretty fun. So now this week it's Name That Tune. So we'll see if that gets as interesting.
Well, I also go ahead.
Oh, they're also talking about doing a dance party and just everybody log in, and we would, through Zoom, and we would have music and kids would dance in their living rooms with their parents or their dog or whoever.
I like when you were mentioning the cooking class. I think that's so great to bring back home ec and for these students to actually learn how to cook. We all grew up with home ec, and I had Mrs. Washburn. God, was she a mean? If anybody has ever seen Porky's, that movie long time ago, the gym teacher, that's who Mrs. Washburn looked like. She was a very tough lady. She yelled at me plenty of times, but that was things that we all learned. And why that's so important for a teacher to do that right now, it may sound silly, but if the students can help out at home, it helps the parents say, okay, you're going to do the cooking tonight. That's phenomenal. I'm mad that cursive writing's not, if anybody's from New Jersey, I understand New Jersey's implementing a law that cursive writing has to be taught again. So good for that. Thank God that's coming back. But little things like that, they sound simple, but they are that story that parents are going to talk to their neighbors about and say, oh my God, this school helped us with this. And Catherine talks about the axe throwing. I'm sure people are like, their ears perked right up, but that's something that is kind of fun. I mean, it's like, fun to like talk about that. So
One of the things we're going to try tomorrow is we're going to try chapel service for our students.
Nice.
So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
This is Deb Speets. I'm with the John Cooper School of Pre-K-12 in the Woodlands, Texas. And our athletic department has really helped me out with our social media. It's actually part of our distance learning. They, by division, for pre-K through 5, and then middle school 6 through 8, and then upper schools 9 through 12. Coaches have done videos. So the coaches from the lower school are bringing back hopscotch and doing a short little video, and all the way up to the varsity coaches that are wanting the kids to run or stay in shape and those kinds of things. But those have worked out really well on our social media as well. You can get your coaches to do it.
Yeah. I know next week we're going to try to do this all over again, but Tracy Palmer is going to join us. I'm going to read to you what she's going to talk about. She's a writer. She writes for a lot of schools, and I'm going to read it, so I don't want to leave anything out. Schools, colleges, and other nonprofits are being hit hard by the pandemic. The emotional and financial toll is going to be substantial and lasting. If you're part of she does a lot of writing for campaigns, so a lot of development writing. If you're part of the advancement team, you're probably wondering what you can do to help. Is this a time to ramp up fundraising or put it on hold? What's the right tone and message to donors right now? Is it okay to reach out? How can we talk to them without looking like we're exploiting the virus? We're all facing these questions and more. Let's get together and talk. The best way through this crisis is working together, sharing our fears and concerns, and giving each other support and hope. So that's Tracy. She's going to join us next week and talk about that topic. So, yeah. Oh, and Lisa Lang, I know you reached out to me earlier. I see you right there. And I know you want to talk about not yet. I know you were asking if in the next couple of weeks or the next week, talk about open house, success stories of open houses and stuff. So definitely.
Yeah, we're pulling together virtual tours and virtual open house, 2 separate things. And we're working on, we have a daily upload. We can share that when it's time. We have 5 different categories of things we put for the engagement factor, and we're collecting things, and we've got a huge spreadsheet of topics of what we're including. It's just only been going for a few days, so it would be better to talk about it in a week or 2.
I know I want to respect everybody's time, so if nobody has anything else, thanks for joining us. Does anyone have any last minute questions? Okay. Hope to see everybody next week. Stay safe. Enjoy family.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Everyone, thank you.
I have such relief right now. You have no idea. Thank you again.
Thank you, Jim.
All right.
Bye. Thanks,
bye.
Jim.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.